Hi and welcome to this Brandworking webinar with me, Lauren Clement, at the Ultimate Business Propeller. Now today we're going to be talking about personal branding, which is my area of expertise, and I can't wait to share with you some extraordinary tips and tools to help you stand out and be found because you have a strong personal brand that clearly tells people exactly what you do, who you work with, and why they should trust you. So, introducing myself, for those who don't know, I'm Lauren Clement, and I have over 25 years and more in working with advertising and brand management. I was very fortunate to work with agencies that were real world leaders. Saatchi and Saatchi were ahead of their game when I was working with them, and the top agencies in the world, which was just phenomenal to have that time there. A number of other agencies, as well as a company called Pivotal, which was a production management company, and we produced just about anything to do with brand and marketing and advertising, TV, radio, press, billboard, in-home, you name it, including the internet, and we produced it. So a lot of brand management in my background. I also had my own advertising agency called Evergreen, which was marketing specifically for baby boomers and seniors, which is really interesting because I'm neither of those, but I learned a huge amount about transgenerational marketing, and I really still do use those things today in understanding target audiences. So now I run the Ultimate Business Propeller. I'm the owner of that, and it's a personal branding consultancy where we give you a map to follow to make marketing really easy and effortless for you, and it makes it really effective. It's called a marketing action plan or a map for you to follow, and that's what I do now. So I am a best-selling author, which is really fun, quite interesting. I've written a number of books, but the most interesting thing about being a best-selling author, not only has it been helping in terms of leveraging the fact that I am an expert in this field, but also there's this. Now this is a school report, and yes, it's typed onto a piece of paper. This is a scan of one I have from my school in 1980, where my teacher had told me that I had something called word blindness. Now, word blindness these days is known as dyslexia, and he told me I would never be able to spell properly, and the ability to really understand how words formed was always going to be beyond me. Now, that was a red rag to a bull to me, where instead of disheartening me, it actually gave me lots and lots of confidence to go and tell him he was wrong. So I took it upon myself to learn how to spell, and he gave me a book of 10 words to take home every night, and I would find ways in my brain of formulating pictures of what those words would actually be. And I had other people read the words out, and I would spell them back based on this ability to see these pictures in my brain. And the funny thing was, by the end of the time I was at that particular school, after they'd told me it was word blindness, of course, was he wrote this at the end of my report: we had a class full of Laurens, there's no limit as to how far we could get, which is really extraordinary, and I do thank him these days for encouraging me to push myself ahead and not to treat my disability as a disability, but to treat it as an asset. And thanks to that, this is what I ended up doing, brand management. I do believe it's a bit of a natural talent that I have because of that ability to paint pictures with my brain particularly well. And I've been looking after a lot of brands for many years. This is some of them here. And the main thing that this has taught me, which is the key message I'd like you to take from this webinar today, is to be consistent. Each one of these brands are a known brand because they have been consistent. So the thing with a personal brand is it's even more important for you to stay the same with regularity, because it's hard to explain what you're doing if you're selling a service. Therefore, having that consistency in your brand is really important. So I come from New Zealand. Now this is a particularly accurate geographical map. For all those Aussies who are watching this, I always like to poke a little bit of fun. Now I come from the North Island in New Zealand, but I now live in the West Island. I live in Australia and love living here, but this is where I lived. I lived in an area of bushland. It was called the Hunua Ranges, and it was very dense. Very easy to get yourself lost, to be disorientated, to not know which direction you were going in, and certainly very easy to lose the path. And in fact, we would often find ourselves having to rescue people from this bush, and they would often only be meters away from the path they needed to get on that would have gotten them home. And I do think it's very similar in business. It's very easy to get very disorientated and be very unsure about what it is you should be doing when it comes to promoting and marketing yourself, especially when you're selling a service, when you're selling the invisible and trying to explain why someone should choose you. It can get very confusing. There's lots of stuff out there, all the social media, different ways to market yourself, and you can get lost very quickly. Whereas the path is right there, and having a strong personal brand, knowing exactly what it is that you do very, very well and who you do it for, is one of the clearest ways to get out of that really bewildering situation and on the road to becoming the go-to specialist in your field. So the 3 questions I get asked on a regular basis when people discover I'm a personal branding specialist is, oh great, you can help me with how I explain what it is that I do, who my target audience is, and what's my niche. And that's what we're going to answer today. So I'm going to be sharing with you some key tips out of my Authority Rocket program, which is made up of my 3 personal branding guidebooks called Know Me, Like Me, Trust Me, which are now also available in one complete guide called Selling You, and you can get hold of those on Amazon. So let's get into the first question. How do I explain what I do? And doing it in such a way that it's not long and drawn out and complicated, like you're speaking a completely other language and bamboozling people, because it is difficult. And this comes out of my first book called Know Me, and it is step 1 to developing your personal brand. And this is what most prospects are thinking when they come across you, either online or in person, or they come across your collateral or someone tells them about you. They just want to know, what do you do and can that help me? And it's all about them. So it's really important that you get it clear. Now, human beings' brains are quite complex things. They have about 60,000 thoughts every day. But back in the 1970s, it was estimated that our brain was hit with about 500 branded messages every day. Now these days, that's getting closer to 5,000 messages a day that our brain is getting hit with that are branded. So it's really hard for our brains to see through the fog of all that stuff that's coming in. That's about 4 every minute. And there's a new science that I've been studying called neurobranding. And it's the study of how the brain sees brands. And if you want your brand, your personal brand, to cut through and stand out into the brain, you're going to need to know a little bit about neurobranding. So I'm going to share with you some neurobranding one-on-one today. Now, a lot of people, when it comes to explaining what it is that you do, don't like to use a term that explains their industry or their particular profession, because they worry that there's maybe some sort of misnomer or perception or something in the marketplace that's a stigma that people have attached to that profession. This might be if you're a salesperson or a real estate agent or a lawyer. So it's always important to understand that actually that's exactly what the brain wants to know. So don't be afraid of telling people what your profession is. There's a little thing in your brain called the amygdala, and it's responsible for memory and emotion, and it basically blocks stuff out to stop you making bad decisions. But it also stops things from getting into your conscious that aren't important and are deemed to be not important. So the trouble with the amygdala is if it gets confused, if it gets worried, if it hears waffle, it's actually going to go into a big down spiral. And if it can't figure out very quickly who you are and what you do, you're not going to get a chance to really talk to that person's brain, because the amygdala's got red lights and red flags and alerts going off all over the place that the person they're talking to doesn't know what they are, and I'm confused and I don't like it and I'm not going to listen to this. So it is really important that you're very clear about who you are and what you do, and you don't panic about using industry terms or professions to do this. Now I'm going to show you something that is, I call your core message. Some people call it your elevator pitch. The reason I don't call it that is because I believe you can use your core message not just as an elevator pitch, but you can use it on the homepage of your website, on your LinkedIn profile, on the about part of your Facebook page, on the back of your business card. It's the core message that you want people to clearly understand who you are and what it is that you do. So I'm going to give you a formula. And it's a formula called the BEST formula. Now, I take people through this particular process and build this with them, and it takes time, but there's a set formula I've worked out based on neurobranding science that enables you to give your elevator pitch or your core message anywhere, anytime, and it cuts through that brain amygdala, puts everything at ease, and it stops that brain from trying to leap around all over the place, so it concentrates on what you're saying. So here's the BEST formula. The B stands for be clear. And that's exactly what I was saying just now. Be very clear. Hi, I'm Lauren and I'm a personal branding specialist. Hi, I'm Sally and I'm a waterfront home specialist. Hi, I'm Janine and I'm a business coach for small businesses. I'm a fast tracking, whatever it is. Try not to be too jargonistic in what you say. Try to use terms that people understand. Try to make it very, very clear and simple what you do. Next, exactly who you help. And this is really important because, yes, we might have set some alarm bells off in the amygdala with that first part about mentioning real estate or lawyer or anything else that the brain might all of a sudden stand up and notice and maybe raise a red flag on. If we start talking about who you help, the amygdala starts to relax because it may be thinking that you are talking about it. You're talking about the person, they're talking about the prospect. So that's why you jump straight into this. So you don't just say, I'm a divorce lawyer and I win every case and I do everything else. You've got to stop there because that's getting into sales, and the amygdala will just die all over the place and stop this person from listening to you. So you need to be exactly who you help. I always say I work with professional service providers. Maybe there's a particular type of person that you work with, and we're going to be talking target audience in a minute, and it'll help you fill in this E of the BEST formula. So hi, I'm Lauren Clement and I'm a personal branding specialist. I work with professional service providers. Now, next part of BEST is to solve a problem. And that's really important because all that this person wants to know is, can you help me? Can what you do actually help me? Everyone's interested in themselves. So part of your next BEST formula is to tell them the problem that you solve. So hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a personal branding specialist. I work with professional service providers who sell the invisible and can't easily define what they do. So solve a problem. What is it that you solve for people? Next thing is the T. Tell them why. And this is really important because they need to know why they should think about you, why they should trust you, and why you're the expert. And we'll talk about this a bit later on again in the webinar about finding your niche, and it might help you fill in this part as well. But you really do need to explain to them why you're so passionate about what it is that you do. It's really important. So here we go. Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a personal branding specialist. That's being clear. I work with professional service providers, exactly who I help, who sell the invisible and can't really easily define what they do. Solving a problem. Because it's hard to explain why someone should choose you when you look like everyone else. I'm really passionate about that. That's telling people why. And then you finish this with something that's going to get them thinking of you long into the future, well after the time that they've first interacted with your personal brand, be that online or in person, wherever. You need to have them recall what it is you said to them so that they can think, I really need to talk to that person. They sound like they could help me. So you tell them, and the best part is, and this is important, it could be your tagline, it could be your sales pitch, it could be anything you stand by, but it'll be something that will stick in their brain so that they come back to it again and again. So I'll read you my core message again. Hi, I'm Lauren and I'm a personal branding specialist. That's the B. I work with professional service providers. That's the E. Who sell the invisible and can't easily define what they do. That's the S. Because it's hard to explain why someone should choose you when you look like everybody else. That's the T. And the best part is, I help you rocket launch your business. So have you got that? That's the formula. Now, if you're struggling with this, don't panic because you do get an opportunity to work with me so that we can get this right for you. The big thing to remember is to keep hold of the WIFM. What's in it for me? What do your target audience constantly want to know about? About themselves. So what is in your core message that helps them? And start thinking about yourself as a pro. Now, this isn't the oldest profession in history. Becoming a pro is being a service provider who sells not just the problem, which is the P, or the resolution, which is what you offer, but also the outcome. And painting the picture of what it's going to be like once that person has used your services is absolutely vital. And this is back to painting a picture in your brain. Remember how I said I do that so well? Well, this is what you need to start doing for your business. So I'm going to prove to you that brain thinks in pictures, and this is how you can work it out so that your prospects can immediately visualize what it's going to be like once they've used your services. I'm going to give you a couple of words to concentrate on, and I want you just to think about those words and imagine what you're seeing in your head as the picture that's being painted, and I'll ask you some questions about that in a minute. So the two words I want you to concentrate on are this: bacon and eggs. Are you thinking about those? Is your brain painting a picture? What does it look like? It probably looks a little bit like this. Although they might be your particular type of over easy eggs or scrambled or an extra rasher of bacon. They might even be a pig or a chicken. But the thing is, did I paint this picture for you? No, I just gave you the words, bacon and eggs. You painted the picture yourself. You even cooked them and put them on a plate. So the brain thinks in pictures. It's so important. It's absolutely vital for you to paint the picture of the outcome of what it will be like when somebody has chosen and used your services. So I hope you're getting some idea of how to set yourself up with a really strong personal brand. We're getting into the next question. Who's my target audience? And this is step 2. It comes out of my Like Me guidebook. And at this stage, normally your prospects are asking themselves, do I like the idea of working with you? More importantly, who do you like working with? Because you don't want to go after everyone. You just want to go after the people who you will like working with so much that you want to work with them again and again, because then they will like you so much. Not only will they want to work with you again and again and be very loyal, but they will tell lots of other people all about you. Now, here's the first rule. Don't have these people in your business. If you have these people in your business, introduce them to your competition. You definitely don't want these people. So make sure you say no. And you don't want these people. You don't want to be everything to everyone. You'll find yourself paper thin, stretched and crazy busy trying to help everyone on the planet rather than knowing exactly who it is that knows, likes and trusts you. So don't go after everyone, because that ends up with marketing called WOFTAM marketing. If you're trying to go after everyone, WOFTAM marketing stands for waste of flipping time and money. And that's exactly what it's like when you try to go after everyone. You waste your time and you waste your money chasing people. So let's stop doing WOFTAM marketing and start doing something else. Let's start using your brain to identify exactly who it is you're going to help. Now, when you think about this, and you might want to draw it, you might want to write lists, you might want to think about your existing clients and who it is that you help and why you like them so much and why they like you. Now, the thing is with the brain, and I'm going to talk a lot about neurobranding today, is that the brain is always active. It's always trying to put 2 and 2 together, and especially the entrepreneurial brain, you're coming up with a million ideas at once. And sometimes you might think to yourself, oh, that's a target audience I hadn't thought of. I could target them. Well, that's probably a good idea to be always thinking about who your target audience is, but it's always a risk to jump in. And I'm going to share a case study with you. I met a lady the other day who is a consultant. She's a travel consultant, and she said to me, I'm struggling a bit with my personal brand, but I've come up with a brilliant idea. I'm going to go after the gay market because they've got plenty of money to spend on travel. Now, that was really interesting. I said to her, that's quite an interesting proposition. I said, I do know quite a few gay people, and yes, they do tend to be dinkies, double income, no kids. But that's quite an interesting proposition. I just wonder, do you know anybody who, or have you done marketing for people who are gay? Have you done marketing for travel for people in that gay market before? And she went, no. I said, okay, but have you done any sort of travel with people who are gay and worked out what it is they want, or do you know lots of gay people? You can ask them their advice and you can start building your expertise in this area. Do you know lots of places that gay people go to so that you can give tips and tools and where to go and how to meet people and what to do and all the rest of it? No. Now, I would find it really difficult to position her as the expert in that field because she has no background. She has no connections, and in reality, she has no passion for that market. She just thinks they've got a lot of money. So be careful who you target. It isn't necessarily about the people who have the money. It's about the people that you like working with and the ones that are going to really love working with you and become your raving fans. So think about for a minute, what's the stuff that makes you really proud? The stuff you're proud of. The thing you do that you love doing. The thing you do that is just, you feel like you're right in the place you need to be, and that's when I'm doing the best thing that I'm doing. I'm passionate about it, it comes easily to me, and those are the sorts of people that will want it because they want someone who's an expert in that. So this will help you choose and define your target audience. What's the stuff you do with joy that you love doing, and the clients that you have that already love doing that as well and love you for it? So think about that. What's the part of what you do that you can attract people to because they're going to love it? And those are the people that'll want it now. They're your low-hanging fruit. They're the ones at the top of the pyramid who want to fall into your arms because they've been desperately looking for what it is you've got and they just want it. They want it now. They don't need any convincing. They don't need you to educate them that what you've got is better. The only thing they'll need to know is, do I like the idea of working with you? And if they're the right fit for you, then they'll become a raving fan client. If they're not, they'll go to somebody else. So here's a way to do that. Now, I teach people this in my workshops and in one-to-one with people. This is about building a cascade of influence. Now, you know how good word-of-mouth marketing is. It's one of the best forms of marketing. There's 3 reasons for that. First of all, of course, it's free, especially if you get good word-of-mouth. It's fantastically free. Second of all, it's endorsement. It's somebody else saying how good you are rather than you saying how good you are. And thirdly, it's something that continues on and on and on and on, like a ripple. It's not like an ad that you place in the paper and the next day it's gone, or a Facebook campaign that runs for a couple of days and then it's over. Word of mouth marketing continues over and over again. So I teach people how to do word of mouth marketing on steroids. And this is called building a cascade of influence. And at the top of the cascade are people called your key opinion leaders. So think now about the people who you want to target, the people you love dealing with, who love what you do, who crave it right now. Who are their key opinion leaders? Who do they listen to? Who do they read if that person writes articles? Who do they ask for their opinions? Who do they follow? And if you can target the key opinion leaders and at least let them know that you exist and this is what you do, chances are they'll start your cascade of influence and they'll start telling people about you and forming that word of mouth. And then your early adopter, raving fan, cravers who want exactly what you've got will pick that up and they'll create even more of an influence until it trickles down into that massive area called the early majority. And that's when all of a sudden you end up with loads of people coming to you because they've heard that you are perfect at doing this thing really, really well, and that one of my best friends or my colleague or this person told me I should see you. So I do help people build this cascade of influence and how to do that, and it's a great thing you can do for your business, so have a go at that. We're on to the last question, folks. We're talking about what is my niche. And this is your calling. This is your vocation. This is the thing you do with ease. That is your area of expertise. So it's step 3. And it comes from my book called Trust Me, which is the third in those personal branding guidebooks. And this is what's happening at this stage. Your prospect right now is just thinking, can I trust you will deliver on what you promise? I know what it is that you do, and that I think that can help me. I like the idea of working with you, but can I trust you? So there's a bit of a problem with entrepreneurs and trust, and I'm going to share another neuro branding tip with you. So the entrepreneurial brain is different to the normal brain, because it's taking control of that amygdala, that fear center. When you first started out in your own business, chances are your amygdala was screaming at you, don't do it, it's too risky, you don't know enough, how are you going to do this, where are you going to get money, who are you going to have as clients? And you basically told your own brain to be quiet and let you get on with it. So that's really cool. I applaud you. You are a superhuman with a superhuman brain. The trouble with being a superhuman is that you do have kryptonite. And your kryptonite is bright, shiny object-itis. And every entrepreneurial brain has it. And this is what you can really destroy trust, because if you're not clear on what it is that you're really good at, if you don't have a niche, if you're good at lots of things but they're not one niche, how can people really trust that you're the expert? What if you went to see a specialist and they said, well, I've got about 5 or 6 different things I could do. We could try this, and if that doesn't work, then we'll try that. And if that doesn't work, we could do this instead. How would you feel about that specialist? Would you trust them? So you need to overcome bright, shiny object-itis, because if you don't, you're going to get FOMO. And FOMO is the fear of missing out. And you'll be all over the place trying to come up with brand new ideas and harebrained schemes and all sorts of other things that you could be doing that will just disintegrate your trust even more. Now, I don't tell you to turn your brain off, because the entrepreneurial brain is extraordinary. Just write your ideas down and then double check, do they fit with your brand personality, with your strategy for who you want to be known as, with your personal brand? Do they fit? Because if they don't do them. If they do, put them into your plan to make sure you implement them at some stage. But don't go off in tangents in all directions, because you will destroy trust. Here's an example. This is a business card that came through my letterbox, and it is an extraordinary example of FOMO, of bright shiny object-itis. This is a cheap man in ute hire. For those who don't know what a ute is, it's a pickup truck, and this guy does everything. He'll pick up your furniture, he'll help you move house, he'll do your pet feeding, he'll transport animals and help you with shifting furniture. He'll also do lawn mowing and rubbish removal. And look, he does Elvis tribute too, and live music and jumping castle hire and limousine hire, and he's open 24 hours a day, 7 days, all holidays. Is he a specialist or a generalist? Would you trust this man to look after your animal? Now, if he just picked one or two of those things at the most, wouldn't that be cool? I would pay someone to mow my lawn doing an Elvis tribute at the same time. Absolutely. So this is an example of what not to do in order to build trust. You want to become the go-to specialist, and this is the reason. If you got sick today and you went to the doctor, chances are you'd know where the doctor was. You'd see a sign, you'd see some marketing, you would have seen some promotion that that's where his clinic was. So he's done some marketing to promote himself. You probably could get in to see that doctor in a couple of days. And if you had insurance, you'd probably pay next to nothing. If you didn't, you might pay $60, depending on which country you live in, to see the doctor. Now, the doctor then might say to you, actually, you're quite sick. You need to see someone who's a specialist, and I know exactly the person for you to see. They're very good at this thing. They've been working on it for a long time, and they know exactly what there is. They'll get great results, and I'd like to refer you to them. Now, the trouble is it'll probably need maybe a month, maybe longer for you to wait, and it's going to cost you a couple of $1,000s. Now, which would you rather be? The generalist, who has to market themselves and attract people, cover off everything for everyone and charge a small amount to do that? Or the specialist, who doesn't do any marketing because he's constantly getting referrals, who charges whatever he wants and can work on his own time? It's up to you. This is what I call personal branding. It's your expertise. It's the thing that you do with ease that other people find difficult. That's why it's called expertise. And this is how you find your niche. So there might be lots of things you know about, and lots of things you do, and lots of things you love doing. There might be lots of things you do quite well, but one of them you do on autopilot. Now, chances are, if you've been in business for a number of years, there'll be a number of things, processes, systems, ways you work that you do without even thinking about them. And that's why it's hard to find your niche, because you haven't thought about the stuff you do without thinking about it. And I'm going to be asking you to think about the stuff you don't think about. Are you confused? Well, let's keep going, because it's a case of finding out what your expertise is. And to start off with, we go quite wide. If you got a big piece of paper and you wrote across the top of it all the different things that you could call yourself an expert in, all the different things that you know lots about, all the different things you're passionate about, write them out across the width of the sheet. Then we're going to go deep. How far down the page can you get talking about each one of those things? When you write those things down, even if you put down a process, well, this is what I know. Say it's about, I don't know, making a cup of tea. So making up a cup of tea, what do I know? Well, I know that I've got to heat the pot first, so I need to put the kettle on. Then I need to put in the particular amount of tea that I want, and then the hot water and so on. So you know the process. Now, somewhere in that process, there'll be something that you do automatically now that you've forgotten that you do. That's your point of expertise. And that's where you should go niche. Because there are people out there who don't realise it should be done that way. There are people out there who have no idea, and you've just forgotten because you just do it. So think about your inch wide, mile deep niche. And again, I help people with this, so take your time and make sure you try that out. Now, here's an example from a recent newspaper about a big company. This is Kmart, and Kmart's boss, Mr. Guy Russo, said that we were trying to be all things to all people, and we decided to focus on doing something really well instead. So they niched. They started to get niche. They got rid of 70,000 products so that they could start focusing on just doing something really well, and instead of trying to be everything. So if a big company like Kmart, a big brand like them can do this, then so can you. Get rid of the stuff you shouldn't be doing. Start saying no to the stuff you're not an expert in. It's all about finding your single-minded purpose. And I help people do this and help them find their niche and position themselves in that gap in the market that makes them the expert. And I can work through this with you. So if you had fun during this webinar, I really hope you have. Now, teachers know this. They know to get kids engaged, they need to immerse them in the topic and ensure that they have fun. And that's because that amygdala I've been talking about all the way through this, remember that little fear centre? It controls memory and emotion. Now, if you can attach emotion to everything you teach people, they will remember it 90 times better than if you just tell them something. So there's another tip for your marketing and for your branding. Make sure you attach an emotion to the message you're putting out there. That way people will remember you and recall you much better. So I've had a lot of fun today. I've really enjoyed this work with you. I hope you have too. And I'd like to give you an opportunity to spend a bit more time with me. I'd really like to talk to you now about exactly what it is that you need, because everybody's needs are different. You've got a different business, you're at a different point, and I'd like to know what it is that you need right now. So there's a special offer today for doing something called a Brandworking one-to-one with me. And really it's grabbing some exclusive time with me to work on your personal brand. Now, a one-to-one with me is 1 hour working on your personal brand to get clarity and direction and purpose for you to stand out and be found. The big thing about a Brandworking one-to-one is it just comes out that it makes marketing easy for you, easy and effective. Because once you've got that clarity and that purpose on who you want to be, what you want to be known for, all of a sudden it becomes really easy to work out how you're going to market yourself. And it becomes incredibly effective because you're only doing that. You're not trying to be everything to everyone. You're not suffering from FOMO, and you're getting rid of the bright, shiny object-itis, making marketing really easy. It also starts to get you naturally attracting raving fan clients. These are people that just automatically want to work with you. They want what you've got, they like the idea of working with you, they trust you because you're the go-to specialist. And a one-to-one with me can start helping you to start doing this, naturally attracting raving fan clients. I'm also going to give you a special bonus, and this is your single-minded purpose. So if you have a Brandworking one-to-one with me, you'll get sent one of these personal branding workbooks that we can work on during the one-to-one. So the offer I have for you today, the value of a Brandworking one-to-one with me is $597. I normally provide these one-to-ones to people who've done my workshops or these webinars for $297 because I really want to help you with what it is that you need right now. Now, here's a bit of a special offer for you. Today with this webinar, we're giving away 90% of that. So you can actually get a one-to-one with me to work on your personal brand to start naturally attracting perfect clients and knowing exactly how to position yourself and promote and market yourself for just $29.70. Now, it is a limited time offer. It is going to finish, so make sure you jump online and do this. There should be a pop-up box that's come up on your screen if you're watching the webinar live, or you will get an email after the webinar giving you a link to that. Now, Michelle did some work with me afterwards. She did a one-to-one with me, and she said she followed my advice and was getting results within 24 hours. It was absolutely priceless. Bob I worked with his brand, and he said he was wrangling brands all over the place, and it made it really difficult for people to have a solid identity around what it was they did. And now every customer gets the right message regardless of which of his services they're using. Max and Maria, property managers, a fabulous couple, and we came up with a beautiful brand for them with an amazing tagline, "We appreciate your asset." Isn't that gorgeous? And they said, really, we should have done this years ago. We just didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to do it, and you made it so simple. You shared everything you needed to know about it for us to get on the right track. Nolene is a very impressive woman. She's an audiologist, a hearing care professional, and she said, you know, when you're starting up a business, because she's restarting her business, you can get lost very quickly. It's just like that story I told you, remember earlier on about getting lost in the bush? It's very easy to get lost in business. So she was trying to be everything to everyone, and now she's got an absolutely clear target that she's aiming for, the type of people she knows she wants to work with. And this is Aaron. Aaron has a digital printing company. Excuse me, just taking a slurp of water during this webinar. And he said that the biggest thing that it did for him was giving him the vision that he needed to direct his company, not just his brand, but everybody, his focus for his culture, for everybody who worked with him, and all his clients as well. And it gave him that huge direction. This lovely Rachel, now she's amazing. She's a business mentor, and she said when you have to stand out because your business is you, which is what a lot of service providers have to do, it's really important that you find a way to identify your key strengths so that you stand out for those things. And that's exactly what we did with her. And the lovely Katrina. Now, Katrina had a fabulous brand. She's in the LED lighting industry, which is relatively new. There's lots of education required around it. And she just needed some confidence in understanding what the particular message and purpose was behind her brand. And that's what she got. She said it was such high impact information. She's now completely confident in the message that goes out with her business and with her brand. So you can book your one-to-one brand working now. It is normally, as I say, for people who've completed things like these webinars, $297. Now just $29.70 for a very limited time. If you go to ultimatebusinesspropeller.com/brandworking-1-2-1, as it says on the screen there, it's a limited time offer, and you could book a space so that we can get some time to get together and work on your brand. So thank you very much for watching this webinar. I'm so grateful that you gave me the opportunity to help you package your brand and to start to really lift your leverage as a go-to authority in your field and attract those raving fan clients. Now, before you go, I would like to offer you a final thank you. This is a free downloadable book that I'll be sending you, so please check your inbox. Thank you again for watching this webinar. It's been extraordinary to have you here, and I would like to give you this book. It's The Hidden Message in Your Brands, and this is all about neuro branding and how to really stand out with your logos and your colours and everything else. So this might be helpful to you. Now, if you know of anyone, if you think this webinar has been really good content and been fun, and you've really learnt something, and you know someone who might want to know about that, please let them know about these series of webinars. We run them live and exclusive, and you can get onto them and learn a hell of a lot. So please let people know these happen, and I look forward to seeing you again at an upcoming webinar.